good day, good evening, good now, wherever you are. First of all, I'd like to tell you to subscribe to my YouTube channel because most of our videos will be there and exclusive to our YouTube because Facebook is shadow banning us and giving us a hard time. So, without further ado, welcome back to another live from the Norwegian woods. Once again, I'm your host, Ulf Hawkins from WhiteWolfAlchemy.com. And in this video, we are going to talk about the inner child, healing the inner child, and the resistance you feel in your body to doing the work. The resistance you feel in your body to doing inner child healing. Why is that? What is that all about? And I can tell you, I myself had it. People around me had it when I was doing the work. Like, they didn't want me to do the work either, because once you change, they feel like they lose control and all this stuff. It means that they have to change, So, first of all, like always, I like to connect to that higher self stream of consciousness so that I can do this transmission for my higher self and you can receive it from your highest version of self. So, tune into that heart space. Right there in the middle of your chest. The big, beautiful first eye. It's the eye that we are truly meant to see with. Not the third eye, not these eyes, but this eye. So we tune in there, feel into our heart, take a deep breath in through the nose, one for mine. Hold it at top for 1, 2, and one for body and through the nose. Hold it at top for 1, 2, and one for spirit in through the nose. Back it in. And nice and easy. If your breath is choppy on the inhale or exhale, especially the exhale, it means that there is grief that needs to be healed. It means that there is something that is not fully processed, an event in your life or a trauma. Doing inner child healing will help that. It will help you with your breathing. It will help you get into deeper contact with your breath. It will help you get into deeper contact with yourself, with your inner child, with your higher self stream of consciousness. Because when the inner child is wounded and it's ruling our life, the ego is ruling our life, protecting the inner child from more harm, from more trauma. And while it's very good at doing its job, but both the ego and the wounded inner child are both very, very stubborn. And what I mean about that, that they're stubborn, the inner child, it wants what it wants and it wants it now. The inner child will put you into self-sabotage, in self-pity or self-importance. Self-pity is usually I want my mommy, or everybody, something always happens to me, or all that stuff. And the self-importance, I'm the greatest that ever lived, and you're not being fully honest with yourself. While you could be very, very great, and we are all great at something, and have talents, gifts, and traits that are unique to our soul and our consciousness, it's still coming from an imbalanced place. So the self-importance has a sense of self-pity in it. the self-pity has a sense of self-importance in it. And no matter where you are on that spectrum of self-pity and self-importance, you're going to be teetering between the two until you heal your inner child. And so you'll go from self-pity one day to, you know, I'm the worst person that ever lived. All bad things always happen to me. Why am I always, you know, suffering and struggling? And why can't I get things right? And then you come up in, you know, and on the good, on the up and up, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm the greatest that ever lived. If anyone can do it, I can do it. I'm gonna, you know, but you're not being fully honest with yourself. You stop being, you know, real with yourself, telling yourself, you know, I still got things that I need to work on. I'm good at this, but I could be better. There's always someone out there better than me at whatever I'm good at. And you know, the self-sabotage will come through and wreak havoc on our lives because we are not fully being honest with ourselves. In the self-pity mode, you know, we should be examining why we are fucking up. Why are things always going awry for me? Why? What are the patterns that is causing me to sabotage my life? And when you're in self-importance, on the other side of the spectrum of self-sabotage, you kind of have to go, you know, okay, I still need to do this work. I still need to be honest with myself. I still have to commit to the process and do my due diligent work. Instead, you're like, I have arrived, you know. And I've been there. I've been there many, many, many times, especially in my spiritual work, where I'm like thinking that now I can finally, you know, put up my feet and kick back and relax, and, you know, I'm where I want to be. But that's just your self-importance lying to you. You have to maintain brutal honesty in order to not self-sabotage. So that's, you know, that's the inner child and the ego. So, you know, the ego is just trying to make sure that the inner child is not being re-traumatized, that it's not being further wounded. And you're never going to come into lucidity without doing inner child work. I can smell someone who's done inner child work. I can smell someone who's not done their inner child work. I can, you know, I can see it, I can feel it, and I can hear it. And most importantly, you know, you can spot it in people's self-importance and in their self-pity. That's where they give themselves away to someone who's doing the inner child work, who's a practitioner of inner child healing. You know, you will reveal yourself through your self-pity, your self-importance, because your self-importance is a mask for your insecurity. Because you know that you're really not the greatest man that ever lived. You know that you're really not the greatest woman that ever lived. But you're putting on a front. And then you're still feeling all of that insecurity when someone who's better at you enters the room. Someone who might look better, someone who might have their shit more together, someone who might, for me, for example, someone who comes in and plays guitar better than me, that would be a major, or sing better than me, that would be a major, major trigger for me. And I would feel less than, instead of, you know, feeling into the fact that, oh, here comes a talented person, and it's not taking away from my talent. It's not taking away from the fact that I have my divine blueprint, and it's mine. And if I hone and practice my talents, gifts, and traits, what is meant for me will be for me, will come for me. It will find me. It will come through me. It will come to me through me, right? And insecurity and jealousy and envy will have you like, oh my God, they're so much better than me. I will never get to that level, no matter how much I practice, no matter how much. And you're already sabotaging yourself, right? You're already in self-pity mode. And then you have those that lack the self-awareness and go into self-importance and like, I'm so much better than that person, and you know that you suck compared to them, but you're like, I can do that with my eyes closed. you know the type I'm talking about. Sometimes it may be you, sometimes it may, it's just how it is. And that's self-importance. And, you're immediately self-sabotaging. You could be experiencing unity consciousness. You could be experiencing transference of inspiration and creativity and growth. But you're not. You're missing out because you're lying to yourself and you're not being authentic. Instead, if you were to like feel into that, okay, what is it that I need to work on? How can I be more honest with myself so that when these things arrive in my experience, I can be able to enjoy them. I could be able to enjoy someone's talent and be really, really inspired by them, or share in our gifts and create something really freaking beautiful. And so that's why we do the inner child work. And, it doesn't help to run away from your inner child, not wanting to look back on your past or your traumas and heal them. That's just going to keep fucking up your entire existence over and over and over again. You're going to keep self-sabotaging and ruin every good thing that comes into your life. From your self-importance, from your self-pity, and from your self-sabotage, So we have to do that work if we are to be happy people, if we are to keep the blessings that enter our lives. And what I find the most, revealing of how I did my inner child work is the ability that I have to enjoy who I am even in the presence of others, and not lower my head in shame or cower or feel undignified or less than, and to keep my posture, my attitude, and carry myself with dignity and love, and know and trust that what's meant for me is meant for me. What's meant for them is meant for them. They probably worked hard for those talents, gifts, and traits. They probably love their creativity. They probably love their creative spark in their consciousness, so they spend time with their talent, gift, and trait, right? Talents, gifts, and traits. That's what it's all about. That's why we're here on this planet. And if we're not focusing on those, if we're not focusing on our talents, gifts, and traits, on our God-given gifts, then we are missing out. We're missing out on life. Life is only half as beautiful as it could be, really, truly. So, for me personally, that is the testament to the inner child work that I did with my mentor, Mel Brandon, in my time. I really started loving who I was even with all the trauma that I have experienced, even with all the born under a bad star mentality that I had, living my life up until my mid 30s, 35 years I spent, not being grateful for who I was, not being grateful for the gifts and the talents that I had, not being grateful for the experience that presented themselves to me, because I would always self-sabotage. I would always ruin a good thing. I would always destroy any chance at experiencing love. I would always destroy any chance at experiencing intimacy due to my sexual abuse wounds. So I would always ruin anything that came into my field of experience from my self-sabotage, from my wounded inner child. All of that stopped in a way, more and more gradually as part of doing the work. It would take me longer to fuck up a good thing, and sometimes looking back, I realized there's nothing I could have done differently, because it takes two to tango. It takes two to fuck up a good thing as well. So when they would fuck up and project the fuck up onto me, or they would not be willing to be accountable, and so me in my work wanting to be accountable took on the blame, took on the for the whole entire thing, when there was two self-sabotaging factors there present within connection. So you both, if you want sacred union, both of you will have to do inner child work. There's no way around it. And if your partner is not willing to do inner child work, you might as well leave them, because they will only fuck up a good thing. No matter how much work you put in and they don't put in any work, it's impossible to create spiritual, mature, sacred union without having done inner child work. It's just impossible. That's why you see all the addiction that's flowing around. You see people are sabotaging their love, their relationships, and their lives, their interpersonal relationships, their family life. All of that is because of the inner child. It's still not in healing. So there's a world, there's a whole planet in need of inner child healing. That's why I'm also not afraid of competition. I'm in my divine blueprint, and in divine blueprint there is no competition. So when someone enters the room and they're a really, really good musician, I'm like, nope. I'm not feeling insecure. I'm not feeling like, oh my God. I'm like, cool. Are we gonna have some fun? Awesome. And I bring forth my best self, and do the best that I can. They will bring forth their best self and do the best that they can, and oh my God, we can create magic. We can create something really, really professional. Wouldn't that be great? Instead of being in competition mode. And the same with my healing work. Plenty of healers coming out now, but they're not saying what I'm saying. They're not sharing what I'm sharing. They're not doing what I'm doing. They don't have my field of experience. They don't have my background. They don't have my spiritual insights. They can't tap into that place that I'm tapping into, because they're not sharing that. So I'm not going to be worried. Those that are meant for me will come to me. What is meant for me will come to me, both of clients, both of readers reading my book, listeners listening to my music, you guys coming here and listening to my videos, my talks. So I firmly believe that you will attract into your field of experience those that are meant for you. So there is no need to worry about competition in Divine Blueprint. Not at all. You'll have your source creative intelligence to channel creativity from. So I know that, oh my God, I'm always going to be channeling some awesome stuff. I'm also always going to be channeling my creative spark and be able to create something that I enjoy. And I do it all for me, so it doesn't really matter what other people do, how they feel about it. If I feel good about it when I have presented it and given it out, that's all that matters. If you do things in order to get recognition, if you do things in order to be validated by people, then you're still doing things from a wounded inner child, and you need to do inner child work. If you're people pleasing, you need to do inner child work. If you're still feeling ashamed, guilty, or insecure, you need to do inner child work. That's the only thing that's going to heal you. You can do all the yoga you want in the world. It's not going to do shit all in the long run for your spiritual maturity. That's why we have a lot of fucked up yogis. Right? That's why we have a lot of the sexual transgression issues. Right? All of that stuff. It's there for a reason. Because they have yet to heal that inner child. They have yet to heal their lustful ways. They have yet to heal the sexual wounds that they're carrying. And so they're bringing that to their yoga studio. Simple as that. Same with the shamanic community. You know, you're not a shaman if you're doing drugs all the time or if you're smoking weed all the time. You're simply an addict. You know, then you need to do inner child work. So, I put it out bluntly, and if you can't take it, I know you're going to log off the video, and bye-bye. You're probably going to come back to the video at another time and be ready for it, be more mature, and that's all good. I'm not gonna change my message or be less blunt, because hearing it this blunt is what saved me. And I am presenting it the way that worked for me. Tough love, baby. Tough love. Tough love. It's the only way it'll get through. If you sugarcoat shit all the time, it's still gonna be shit. You can put sparkles and sprinkles and all kinds of stuff, but it's gonna be shit. So might as well. Here's the shit. Here's the shit. That's what it is, and there's no way around it. And we can cut to the chase and get down to the basics and get some work done instead of, you know, catering to the current snowflake syndrome that is a pandemic on our planet. Like, everyone's so touchy, feely, sensitive. Like, you can't even, you know. A polished turd is still a turd, for sure, for sure. You can rub it all you want, but you're gonna get shit all over. Yeah. No, I'm not Willy Wonka, for sure, for sure. This is not the chocolate factory. This is the spiritual maturity factory. And I'm very, very excited about the ones that stay in the video and actually listen and receive this information. You guys are troopers. You are actually ready to do the work. And because you are ready to do the work, these videos are of immense value to you. And I know that. I wouldn't be on here if I didn't know that I could bring value to my community, or that I could bring value to my clients. And so what you get in these videos is nothing like my sessions. I want to say that. My sessions are trauma informed, and I'm very, 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 very attentive, caring, soft, gentle, and nurturing in my sessions, as opposed to my videos. So it doesn't really, and some of you are my former clients watching right now, and you can attest to that. And you are very well taken care of in my sessions and in my aftercare and in my community. So it's nothing like my videos. My videos are get shit said, get shit done, and we cut to the chase and, you know, be practical. But, you know, in the sessions, when we're dealing with the inner child, when we're dealing with traumas, we have to be trauma informed. We have to come at it, not bare knuckled. You know, you're going to be padded up, and it's going to be a soft, gentle approach. You're going to be held in presence. My voice will change, and my heart will be holding space and caring for you in a whole different way. So you see that, you get a little bit of feel of how my sessions are different to my videos. And so I very, 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 very much love doing the inner child healings. The response and, you know, the reactions and the aftercare, the healing that they receive is immense. It's powerful and life-changing. And, you know, most of them wish that they would have done it sooner. I sure did. And I say, there's the life you lived before inner child healing, and then there's the life you live after inner child healing. Two completely different lives. It's the life you lived holding your true self back. It's the life you lived in your mental imprisonment of your self-sabotage. It's the life you lived being afraid of how people would receive you. It's the life you lived worrying about what other people were thinking of you. It's the life you lived inauthentically. And then there's the life after healing the inner child, the life of freedom, where you let yourself, where you open the gate and just let your inner child run free. That's inner child healing, where you dare to be all of who you are. You set yourself free from the mental imprisonment. You don't worry about what other people think about you anymore. You don't worry about how you will be received. You just launch it. Like I'm doing with my videos. I just speak. Ulf is back on Facebook talking shit, right? And I would not be able to do that in the same way. The videos that I was making before and the videos that I was making after the inner child healing, two completely different Ulfs. So, there is a better life there waiting for you after rebirthing, after inner child healing, after processing trauma, after, you know, and, you know, you will not miss that part of you that will die in the inner child healing. The old self. You might grieve the old self in the process, but you do not want to go back there. Once you've breached that membrane of before and after, you're not going to want to go back to that old self. It is simply not in question. The freedom that comes from being able to let your inner child play, to be seen, to be loved, a whole other ballgame. A whole other ballgame. So, you will dare to be vulnerable in an authentic way. You will dare to speak your mind, speak your thoughts. And in the beginning, it might not be perfectly healthy always, but you will not give a shit about, you know, how it is received. So it will take a little bit of work to kind of fine tune delivery, for sure. Delivery will have to be fine tuned. But then eventually you'll be delivering in a way that will be well received. But you know, like with anything new, it takes practice. Practice makes perfect, just like with all our talents, gifts, and traits. So, if you would like to do inner child work with me, then I have inner child healing and meditations in my work. If you would like to do rebirthing sessions, you have trauma beyond the inner child, then I recommend you do rebirthing with my partner Mary. If you want the feminine touch as well for inner child healing, I recommend you do the work with my partner Mary. But if you would like to work with me, I would be very, very happy to work with you. And I know that if you'd like to work with her, she will be very, very happy to work with you as well. We are continuously studying here different modalities. You know, and I recently did a trauma-informed psychedelic plant medicine integration course with the amazing Atira Tang, known from TED Talks and all over the community with plant medicine work. I have put that into use in my private life. I put that into use in my sessions. So it is more trauma-informed approach that we are coming from in our sessions. Not that it wasn't prior, because my mentor Mel Brand was brilliant in the way that he prepared me for handling clients, and through with his modality that I still use in private, and I have created a different approach online in online sessions over the course of over a decade. So I have plenty of experience in assisting, and there's a clearing period with all our sessions, 3 to 5 days, where if you have a reaction, Kundalini awakening is prevalent, crying for no reason, you can reach us at any time and have assistance in holding space, in what that really, really means. You will have tools and a practice, a daily healing agenda to assist you in maintaining the work that we do, so you don't slip back into self-sabotage, for example. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for commenting. I really, really enjoy our growing community. I hope you do too. If you haven't already, sign up on our website, whitewolfalchemy.com. Create a profile there in the forum. And there's going to be some goodies released there this year. More free material always. New sessions, new services, and yeah, more content. So stay tuned and stay safe, stay good, be gentle with your inner child. Go play, go have some fun, let the inner child come out. You know, do the things that make your heart sing. That's the inner child being happy. That's the inner child enjoying life, and you should be enjoying life. Life is meant to be good. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful day.